I see a lot of professionals who focus on the technical side and the knowledge side, but not so much on the soft skills. Sometimes, a lot of learning happens, but then is it being applied for the organization or not? You can't buy every skill that you have. You may not find that. Time is the same. Now, everyone has the same amount of hours. What you do with the time is important. First and foremost, have passion, for the industry or the sector that you are moving in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Technopark podcast, Aspire Stories of Innovation. When a person joins an organization and he becomes an employee, he has different departments to deal with, right? Like maybe finance, facilities, or whatnot. But there is one specific department with whom he has to converse and deal with even before he becomes an employee of the organization. Yes, human resources, or what we call as HR. So today we'll have a conversation with an eminent person from the HR community and see what he has for us. Without further delay, let me welcome Mr. Jaljith Narayanan, who is the HR head of Nissan Digital India. Welcome.
Thank you, Kartika, and thanks for having me
Yes.
for this podcast.
So Jaljith, it's been over 25 years in the industry, as I understand. So it's not just automotive, but software, mobile, everything has been there, right? So could you please introduce yourself to the audience and also explain your current role in Nissan Digital India?
I have been working for, as you rightly said, 25 plus years. And so it's been a long journey, as you can see. So initially, I started with manufacturing company. And those days, manufacturing sector was where you could find good HR jobs, really. The sunrise sector, which is your insurance, banking, IT, telecom, they had probably not really taken shape at that point. That's the time when I started. So there is a lot of that learning, for me, initial learning that happened through factories, right? And when I say factories, it's also about managing the shop floor workmen, unionized environment. So I have managed in companies where you had multiple unions. I have seen the formation of a union, and we have signed long-term settlements. So all of that initial experience in manufacturing has been quite enriching for me. And I did a shift location-wise because I wanted to move out of Kerala at some point. Not because I don't like my home state, but then it was more from a career standpoint. I felt that location change sometimes helps you in your career in terms of the way you look at an HR as a function. When you have multicultural experience, it's always beneficial, right? When you take up higher roles, it's always, the diversity of and when you deal with diverse workforces, it's always good. It helps you in your career. So that's the reason why I shifted to Chennai, and then I've been working there. Now, I did a stint, as you rightly said, in telecom, which was Tata Teleservices, and there I worked on, I would say, a brand launch as well as brand unification, which means Tata had two brands of telecom, the CDMA brand and the GSM brand. So basically, at some point, we wanted to integrate the two brands into one, which was called Tata Docomo eventually.
Okay.
And those were the experiences. A lot of that unification of the forming a common organization, or I would say a single organization from the two brands. That's how it was. Then I worked in UST Global in Trivandrum. So I did come back. Eventually, I did come back to Kerala. Worked in UST Global, and again a great experience here. I was leading HR BP for the offshore for the healthcare business initially. So that's been again a great experience. Now with Nissan for the last 7 years. And again, so it's been a long journey. So 7 years, if I split it into two halves, first half in the factory at Chennai, and then the second half, 3.5 years now with Nissan Digital here in Trivandrum.
Okay.
And the current role is head of HR for this company, and managing the human resources. Always a pleasure. It's been my overall journey so far. It's been working closely with people.
So speaking about Nissan, So Nissan Digital India in Trivandrum. What are the key operations or the core functions which happens out of the Trivandrum office?
So basically, we are a captive organization, which means that we work, all our work is basically for the company itself. So we don't work for clients, we rather work for the internal organization, right? So now, automotive business, as you know, it has the value chain itself is split into various elements, right? If you look at, there is let's say engineering and design, there is manufacturing supply chain, there is quality after sales,
Right.
there is sales finance. Some of those functions are there. So there again, in every stage of the value chain, you require solutions,
Yep.
digital solutions and IT solutions, which help the customer and the employee that is working. So it's both ways. It's not just, it's internal and external, solution that we look at. So that's the development of that work is what we do largely. So as I said, we are more like a product company, a product and a solutions company, and so therefore a little different from IT services, which are larger in terms of headcount and scale. But we are a little bit smaller, but then we do deeper work in these areas. So that's what we do in Nissan Digital.
So in this current era, right, how important is you think digital upscaling in the recruitment landscape? How does the company scope up so that they can align to these trends and with that evolving that metrics, right? So what does company do?
So basically, digital is obviously a way of life today. I think not just organization, even in our day-to-day life,
Right.
we are in a digital world, I would
Right.
say, right? So there's an organic digital learning that we are all going through, right? It's not just that you get into a company that you get that exposure, right? You learn even much earlier, even childhood. My son does a lot of work on AI just for his learning itself. So it's been, I think I would say that the digital learning is now become more inclusive and part of everyday life. And but for recruitment, when we recruit, we have to look at what do we require in the organization, what kind of skills are we bringing in, and some of it we can obviously build internally, which means you can't buy every skill that you have. You may not find that, because like in a place like Trivandrum, for example, in some areas we don't find a lot of talent, but otherwise we do, right? So wherever we can, we buy, which means we hire. Otherwise, we have to build digital skills internally through our learning platforms and various opportunities that we have within the organization, and that's how people learn and upskill. So what is important is to understand the what kind of skills you need for the future, and therefore you need to build those skills internally, right? And I see in the young workforce a lot of appetite to learn. I think it's even without a lot of push. I see that people are learning on their own, a lot of things, taking certifications and adding, to their
Yep.
credentials. So I'm sure that's the way to go.
Despite having AI, automation, everything in place, what we see is employees are working for more and more hours, right? So, in your viewpoint, why does that happen? And another question maybe related to this is like, how does companies ensure that on one side employees are productive and on the other side their well-being is also being taken care of?
Well, let me give you a more philosophical answer to this. Now, time is the same. Now, everyone
Right.
has the same amount of hours,
24
right?
hours.
So what you do with the time is important, right? So while you work from home or in office, there is a productive time that you have, which is that time that you probably will have to do deeper work, with more immersive work, and how you utilize that phase of the day is important, right? At home, what happens is that you think you have a lot of time, because obviously there is no fixed time to start and end, so you think you have more time, and you end up sometimes wasting the time also. In office, sometimes it's more, again, there is some fixed time at least you follow, so there is an urgency to finish your work also, right? So both ways, I think the experience are different. We have all done hybrid work, so we all know, how productive we are at home or at but there are people who wonderfully manage, the remote work, situation as well. So, but I believe that in like what when we did in India, what we have done is we looked at certain metrics. For example, in the Great Place to Work survey, we looked at the burnout ratio, and that score was pretty good in the sense it was low, which means burnout, there was not much burnout, which showed that nobody is overloaded, right? And that way I think it's a fair, as you said, there has to be a balance between work and well-being.
Talking about work from home, that is one another recent in the sense like maybe 4 or 5 years back, we were all sitting in front of desktops in our office. We had a fixed time period. We come to the office, then leave 5 days a week, max 6 days. But again, it was a fixed schedule.
Yes.
There was a routine for us. But after the pandemic, post pandemic, what happens is we have the remote model, work model, then we have the hybrid work model. And there has been instances where people are coming to office all 5 days as well. So all these things combined together that exist in an organization, right? So how does especially the HR space find it so that you can adhere to that onboarding, employee onboarding, the talent acquisition, everything, and make sure that it is going as smooth as it used to be before the pandemic?
So I'm sure the COVID pandemic taught us a lot about, it was called the new normal, that point that a lot of us went through that phase of what is the best way to attract talent. No, I mean, hiring was still happening at some point. Not during the peak COVID, but I think just after that is when, hiring was still, but people were still working remotely.
Yes.
So the challenge was, how do you onboard them and how do you give them some kind of experience around it, right? So there have been companies which have even sent a virtual tour of the office, a bit of that, videos, even handbooks of the policies or practices that they have, things like that, to be able to reach out to candidates even before they joined the company. But obviously, remote onboarding, we used to send laptops to people, to their homes and then make it up and then get started. And most of these orientation programs were done on Teams or any of your collaboration platforms. So things like that. But I think what we have over a period of time, obviously things have eased out in terms of people partially coming to office as well. So there is this, as you said, a hybrid model where it makes it a little more easier. So what we do in India is that we insist on a physical onboard now, because at least the first week of joining, we would ask them to join physically. Even if they would prefer to be on a hybrid mode, then we don't push for a relocation to Trivandrum as such. But at least a week, we don't mind them. We would want them to be in office. That's the way it is, so that they get to meet their colleagues at least initially and get some physical face-to-face orientation sessions with key people. And then they go back and then they're on a hybrid model. So that way, that initial cultural view of the organization, at least touch and feel, is what I think they get. And that's very useful for them. I'm sure that they come to the office physically and,
So since we are talking about pandemic and the remote working model, right? There's a question which I have, like from your personal thoughts, can you share, like, how do we make sure the employees who are working remotely, they get that sense of belongingness in the organization? Especially because, for example, I am coming to the organization, I am a newbie to the organization. I joined, but still I am working remotely. But I want to feel that I belong to the organization. Due to this culture shift, due to the entire remote hybrid model coming into picture, the collaboration is not necessarily the same as it used to be, right? So how do we ensure that?
the larger engagement programs that we have, we do it physically in the office, right? Now, I'm not saying that every employee is able to attend some of that. Let's say when we look at a festival celebration, let's give an example. Let's say Onam or a Diwali or a Christmas, for example, where we have some physical, culturals and a bit of that, and bonding together kind of a situation. Now, large population does come to office. Some don't,
Yes.
But while we do a messaging on that day, on certain things, I'm sure there are people who join on remote. But the physical experience is different. Now, when being there, all decked up, especially on Onam day, wherever you are, it doesn't help, if you're not there on play with doing your pukalams or your, in your best attire, and being part of culturals and all that. So the experience is always much better. But then there are a lot of people who are from different parts of the country who work with us who are not able to make it. But then the leadership messaging and some of those programs are also webcast or telecast live for them to see.
Okay.
Right, so they don't miss a lot, but then that's the best balance we can have. We also have this team engagement kind of events quarterly, like where we bring the teams together. That it's at a team level, right? So that's a place where everyone comes and then they go for lunch or they go for a off-site as a team, and they have a program outside. So all of that, I'm sure that happens. But for webinars or anything that is, we also do a lot of those, awareness webinars. Those are all remotely you can attend. So as I said, there is no perfect model there. It's just that how we best make use of, people we have in office and people who are joining online.
Yeah.
And but I think that I'm sure, by now we have all got, kind of used to that bit of both ways, right? So I think, so we don't fret about it. It's not just, we're not worried about or not having everyone on site.
Could you tell us about the recent trends in hiring? Maybe some of the job seekers may benefit out of it.
Well, we are, as I said, we are a captive organization. So we don't do a lot of hiring as such. We do hiring to the extent to which we need the talent, and also some of it is also to set off the attrition that probably we have on an annual basis. Job seekers, if you look at, there are different categories. Now, one is a set of youngsters who are coming out from college, right? Now for NDI, what we do is we normally do a internship-based hiring, which is conversion through internships. That's one route which we have taken, which is, I think we find a lot of value in that, because the kids who come in and spend 6 months with us on the internship get a lot of learning, initially, or also cultural assimilation within the organization. And they are mentored by senior employees. So they are a good fit for the organization to be converted. So that's one route we have always taken. And they are also job seekers in that sense. And there are others whom we hire anyways. I think for job seekers, at the younger level, I would say that there has to be a passion for the industry, right? Yeah. Let's say you're joining automotive, some bit of element of passion might be helpful, that you are joining because it should, you should see a cause there, you should see that yourself really, wanting to do something in that organization. So a bit of that, I would say, organically what you grow up with, in terms of your interest for something, like a bit for hospitality, or is it for automotive, or anything, that any industry that you are, I think, or data, for example, like there are that element of passion would help you to kind of do well.
Well, coming to learning, it is said that a person should continuously learn throughout his life. So whether it be a professional doing the learning for their better career opportunities, or a student, or whoever it be, learning is a continuous process. So over your span of 25 years in different sectors, have you initiated any specific learning and development activities, or something which somebody else has initiated but stays in your mind? Do you have something to share?
Yeah, what I believe is that, very strongly believe, is that for professionals especially, to grow in their career, their learning has to be two-pronged approach, which is, one has to be technical or in your area of expertise,
Right.
Be it finance or HR or operations or anything. And the second one is soft skill, improving your soft skills. So your learning has to be comprehensive in that sense, right? So I see a lot of professionals who focus on the technical side and the knowledge side, but not so much on the soft skills. And that is where sometimes their leadership skills and their interpersonal skills and all are important, but they don't hone that. They don't spend a lot of time on improving that or taking it to the next level, right? Now, when I started, obviously, you said 25 years again, so that's a long journey. Initially, we were not used to a lot of that, the multimedia kind of, facility that we have today to learn. I remember I used to have a OHP, we call it overhead projector, and those the transparent sheets where we used to draw or write your points handwritten, and then put it on the OHP and project it and then teach.
Right.
That's how I have started my journey. When I have been a trainer as well, in some of my earlier organizations as well. So that's how we have started. But then over a period of time, obviously now we have better facilities to
Yeah.
train and even to train remotely and all of
Right.
that. A lot of programs, I think, soft skill. In fact, UST does a lot of programs in the soft skill area, and I mean, I was part of some of those. In fact, I was training some of the in different. I've trained in India, I've trained in APAC, some of these regions where I've traveled and trained people. There was a people manager, module that we created, a 2-day. Me and my colleague, we had built that 2-day module, which was well received everywhere. So that is one which I can top of my mind. Apart from that, you have digital platforms.
Right.
Obviously, you have Udemy. We have Cornerstone, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, some of that those platforms, and we're also looking at Workday Learning as a next step. So there will be evolution of that, platform where we have options for employees to do self learning, right? And there's a lot of content there, so where you can organically learn. And we have a capability development program which is to track these learnings. Sometimes a lot of learning happens, but then is it being applied for the organization or not? Are we really making use of that training? So we have a CDP program which is more on addressing our talent, our basic technical needs in the organization. So the program is to look at improving or progressing the proficiency of the employee at that in that level, so that it can be applied on the work as well.
What do you feel about working in Trivandrum office?
Trivandrum, I like as a place. I think that's the number one thing. Being here is, I've worked here before. As I said, with UST, I've lived here 5 years in Trivandrum.
Are you native of Trivandrum?
I'm not a native of Trivandrum.
Okay.
I'm a native of Kannur.
Ah.
But it's two extremes, north and south,
Yes.
right? So, but I love this place. I've lived here, so it's great to be back. First of all, and the place has a calming effect on me. It's always uh, less, I would say. I still live in Chennai, which is much more metro city, and then it's a lot more noise and dust and traffic and everything. Here it is a lot more calmer, a lot more less traffic, less people, and more clean. So a lot of things that I like about Trivandrum. And India has a great office. We have two offices. I think this is our the Yamuna office is our, I would say, was our more like our headquarters here. And it's a beautiful office. If you have not visited, I think you should come. It's a beautiful office, a very warm office. There a lot of ambient lighting, a lot of that collaborative spaces. There's a mezzanine floor where you can do a lot of focused work. So it's a beautiful office, really. And the second office is in Ganga, which is a new office. That's more functional, I would say. And but it's a different office. I mean, obviously the vibe is different. But then, yeah, obviously a new office will have its own, beauty also,
Yeah, right.
right? So it's not that I'm comparing here, but obviously, both are different in that sense in terms of a lot of aspects. But yeah, I think being in Trivandrum and being in the office, great.
Yeah. So, talking about Trivandrum, having 4 phases of Technopark and a lot of people in different sectors working together, right? So, what do you think about the talent pool in Trivandrum?
We have a lot of talent in Trivandrum. It's see the first is the reason why we set up here is also because of that, because there is an ecosystem here, which really uh, drives the talent evolution really, so the reason why NDA was set up in Trivandrum, there was a whole lot of comparison with different places, and finally it was decided to set it up in Trivandrum for that reason, right? So I think there is a lot of talent available, and the educational ecosystem is pretty good, pretty strong. The engineering colleges, quality of engineering colleges here, I think it's great. We work with some of them today to build, talent for our organization, what we need. Like, for example, we have a data science elective, with Marbacelius, which is a program we initiated with them. And so we hire people into data science through that channel also.
Okay.
So sometimes you have to go into backward integration. It can't be always done, buy from the market. You also have to build from the ecosystem and be participative in that process, right? So that really helps you get the talent you require, right? So that's one side of it. But there are certain skills, like very specific skills, which we probably don't find as much in Trivandrum, where you will have to look for those talent, probably from other cities sometimes. But since we have a hybrid model, it's not a problem really. The talent can come from anywhere.
With more and more automotive companies coming into the market, right? So, do you foresee a rising attrition as a challenge in the coming years?
Yes and no, I would say, because yes, there is an ecosystem which is building up. There are OEMs, there are tier 1, tier 2 companies, and that ecosystem is growing, and we have seen that, uh, and the government is taking a lot of initiative with this. There was a recent automotive summit, Kerala Automotive Summit, which was to basically look at new investments into the automotive space and grow that space, because Trivandrum has the potential to become an automotive hub in the IT space, at the IT area at least. And so we are part of that fraternity. We are very much part of that ecosystem. Um, so it helps both ways. I think it's not just about losing out, but also that we procure, we do buy, higher talent also from this market that we have. So attrition has not grown so much. I think from what I see, it's been quite stable. And at least last 3 years, I would say, maybe this third year, I would say that I have not seen a big spike in the attrition, because the market itself is kind of cautious, right? With all the geopolitical situation around the tariffs and all that, there is always that holding back sometimes, where the IT spends are lower, and the companies also hold their mandates of hiring. So all that happening. So it's not that people are just kind of holding 3-4 offers, just that there is a need, they do change. Otherwise, it's not so much. So it's not a big worrying factor. But as I said, the ecosystem benefits from having talent who are trained in this space, so that you can, I mean, the talent will move within that, so I think it's benefits every company that way.
Do you have some advice to give to people who are planning to join the automotive sector? Maybe fresh graduates or even lateral entries who are planning to come and build a career in this particular area. Do you have something to tell them?
So the advice I have for people who are aspiring to get into the automotive space, I think first and foremost, have passion, for the industry or the sector that you are moving in. It could be automotive or any other sector that way. I think there has to be a inherent passion that you hold, which really can propel your career forward, right? So that's one part of it. Second is that while you are studying or while you are doing your course, be it engineering or your MBA, take interest in that space. Now, engineering colleges today have that ecosystem of, I would say, or they have automotive clubs, for example, where a lot of those students who are interested in that space join, and they contribute. They build cars, for example, things like that. Those are the experiences that really will go a long way to kind of build that passion in you, right? So I think I would always encourage young students who are currently in colleges to do that, right? First, and get a feel of the product. I think the passion for the product is important. I think that's what will kind of build your purpose or your mission in life or mission in your career, right? That is something that I would like to say. Second thing is follow the industry, read about it, understand what are the trends, understand what is the industry doing differently, how the competition is kind of building up, okay, which company is leading and why are some companies failing, right? So understand that from industry standpoint. I think you need to be more updated, about the industry.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jaljith. That has been a great experience talking to you. You have shared your experience, your thoughts, everything with us. And it was indeed a privilege to talk to somebody from the HR sector. So thank you so much for being here. With that, we have come to the end of this episode of Aspire. Until we meet next time, this is Karthika signing off.